She doesn't believe you. Not your promises. Not your explanations. Not your sweet words. She believes only one thing: your strength under pressure. And that's why she tests you. You call it unfair. You call it drama. You call it mind games. But it's none of those things. It's the reality you've been running from. Every test is a mirror, and most men crack when they see what it reflects. Think about it. The ignored text. The sarcastic remark. The sudden silence. The little flicker of jealousy she pretends not to mean. You hate it. You feel your chest tighten. You want to grab your phone, explain, defend, beg her to understand. You want her to know you're not like the other guys. And that's exactly the moment she sees it, your weakness. Here's the brutal truth. Women test because they don't trust words. They trust composure. Every man says he's confident. Every man claims he's different. Every man swears he won't break. But when she leans on you, when she pushes against your frame, she wants to know if you actually mean it. Most of you don't. Most of you fold. Most of you collapse under the pressure of her gaze. You sulk. You argue. You explain yourself like a boy caught red-handed. You go on defense when the only real defense was never to move in the first place. And with every collapse, with every needy word, with every desperate, "Why are you doing this?" you cut yourself open. You show her the hollow center you've been hiding. Carl Jung once said that a man projects his unlived life onto the woman he loves. That's why her tests sting so deeply. They don't just expose her doubts, they expose yours. She wants to know if you can stand without crumbling, if you can absorb chaos without losing yourself, if you can remain a man even when the storm is inside your own home. The ancient instinct, why women must test strength. You think it's about modern dating? Instagram likes, unread messages, mixed signals? Wrong. This goes deeper, older, primal. A woman's test isn't her invention. It's her inheritance. From the beginning of time, her survival depended on one thing: whether the man beside her could withstand pressure. If he crumbled, she and her children died. Simple, brutal, final. That instinct never left her. It's in her bones. It's in her blood. It whispers in her mind every time you open your mouth. When she pushes you, when she doubts you, when she needles at you with questions that sting, it isn't just attitude. It's an ancient alarm sounding in her body. Can this man protect me? Can he lead? Can he stand when everything collapses? You may call it unfair, but nature doesn't care about fair. Nature only cares about survival. Look at the wolves. The alpha isn't chosen because he asks politely. He isn't chosen because he promises he's strong. He's chosen because he proves it every time he's challenged. The lioness does the same. She doesn't trust the roar. She trusts the fight. She trusts the scars. And women, your women, carry that same instinct. They don't want the story of strength. They want the evidence of it. This is why weakness is unbearable to them. It doesn't matter how much she loves you. If she can sense you won't hold when the storm comes, her biology revolts. Her respect dies. Here's the paradox most men refuse to face. She must test you. because she cannot help it. It's not manipulation. It's not cruelty. It's not even personal. It's survival. And you want her to stop. That's like begging the ocean not to have waves. Understand this now. If you collapse under her little tests, you've already answered the greater question of life itself. You are not fit to carry her trust. You are not fit to carry her respect. And if you are not fit to carry those, you are not fit to carry her. That's why she tests. Not because she enjoys breaking you, but because she needs to know you cannot be broken. This is where the truth cuts deepest. Because when she tests you, she isn't just looking at her doubts. She's exposing yours. Watch the average man under pressure. It doesn't take much. A delayed reply, a teasing comment, a sudden coldness in her tone, and he unravels. He floods her phone with messages. He explains his every move. He begs her to believe his innocence. He sulks when she doesn't give him the response he wants. Every one of those reactions screams the same thing. I need you more than I need myself. That's not strength, that's dependence. And dependence is the death of respect. She doesn't need a man who reacts like a child caught stealing cookies. She doesn't need a man who collapses at the first sign of friction. She needs to see if you can absorb the strike without falling apart. But most men can't. They confuse composure with indifference. So when the moment comes, they show neither. They lash out in anger, or they sink into silence. They prove, with every move, that the ground they stand on isn't steady. This is why her tests feel like humiliation. Because in truth, they are. They humiliate the weak man because they expose what he hides. His insecurity, his fear of abandonment, his hunger for approval. She doesn't need to accuse you. She doesn't need to investigate. All she has to do is lean, and the cracks reveal themselves. Think of Narcissus. So in love with his reflection, he drowned in it. That's what most men do in relationships. They drown in the reflection of their own weakness, projected onto the woman's face. And here's the cruelest part. She doesn't even need to say it. Her silence after you stumble is enough. Her eyes will tell you the truth. She no longer trusts you. Most men think they failed because she left. Wrong. She left because you failed long before. Every little collapse chipped away at her faith until nothing remained. So when you look back and say, I don't know what happened, she just changed. No, she didn't change. She simply saw the boy you kept trying to hide. And once she saw it, she could never unsee it. You think she wants perfection. You think she wants endless romance, flawless answers, a man who never slips. Wrong. She isn't testing to see if you're perfect. She's testing to see if you're present, if you're grounded, if you're unshaken, if you can hold your center while the world and her moods try to knock you off balance. Her test is not about the details. It's about the core. Do you stay calm under fire, or do you flinch like every other man? Most men flinch. They snap, they sulk, they collapse into pleading or rage. They reveal that their strength is only surface deep, a mask that falls apart the moment it's touched. But the man who doesn't flinch, the man who can take her storm and remain unmoved, that's the man she can trust. That's the man she respects. Picture it. She throws her words like daggers, her tone sharp, her silence sharper. The average man scrambles to patch the wound, but the rare man absorbs it without panic. He doesn't fight her storm. He lets it pass through him, then stands where he stood before. That's when her eyes softened. Not because you won the argument, not because you proved her wrong, but because you proved you are immovable. This is what women really want to see. Consistency, composure, control. Not robotic coldness, but steady strength. The calm man who doesn't rise and fall with every emotional wave. Think of Odysseus, tossed by storms, taunted by sirens, tempted by comfort, but never losing sight of Ithaca. That's why his men followed him, why his wife believed he would return. Not because he was flawless, but because he was unwavering. And here's the sharpest cut. If you cannot hold your frame in her little storms, how will you ever hold it in life's greater ones? She doesn't just want to see how you handle her. She wants to see how you will handle everything. Because deep down, she knows. The man who collapses at her words will collapse under the weight of the world. That's why she tests. That's why she keeps testing. Not to destroy you, but to reveal whether there is anything in you worth following. Respect doesn't explode. It erodes, quietly, silently, until one day it's gone. And when it's gone, everything else is already dead. Most men never see it happening. They think they're still fine because she's still around. She's still eating dinner with them. She's still lying in the same bed. She's still calling them her boyfriend, her husband. But in her eyes, the fire has already gone out. Every failed test chips away at something vital. The first time she shrugs. The second time she questions. The third, fourth, fifth. She already knows the answer. And here's the brutal reality. Once respect dies, love becomes irrelevant. Because no woman can truly love a man she does not respect. Look at the nice guy boyfriend, the one who bends, apologizes, compromises every time. He thinks he's being loving. He thinks he's being loyal. But what he's really being is weak, and weakness breeds contempt faster than betrayal. She may not say it aloud. She may even still smile at you. But inside, she's already begun the slow withdrawal. She gives less of herself. She invests less in the future. And finally, she replaces you. Because nature abhors a vacuum. And when she no longer feels strength in you, she looks for it elsewhere. Don't make the mistake of thinking it happens all at once. It doesn't. It's death by 1,000 cuts. Every argument you lost control in. Every sulk you sank into. Every time you needed her reassurance instead of standing firm. And then one day she's cold, detached, unreachable. And you tell yourself, I don't know what happened, but you do know. You failed one too many times. Here's the truth men don't want to face. A woman doesn't leave when she walks out the door. She leaves the moment she stops respecting you. That's why men are blindsided by breakups. They didn't see the erosion. They didn't see the respect crumbling. They only saw the final exit. But by then, it was already too late. You've seen the pattern. You know what happens when you fail. Now the question is simple. What do you do when the fire comes? First, Understand this. You don't pass tests by memorizing tricks. There's no script, no clever line, no technique to make it easy. Because the moment you look for tricks, you've already exposed yourself as weak. The only way through is to become the kind of man who cannot be shaken. That means frame, boundaries, composure, indifference to her validation, not as performance, not as tactics, but as the natural overflow of who you are. Frame, your center, your ground, the thing you stand on when the storm comes. Without frame, you are a balloon in the wind. With it, you are an oak. When she pushes, you don't flinch. When she doubts, you don't scramble. You remain rooted. Boundaries. You don't need to shout. You don't need to threaten. You simply draw the line and live by it. She tests not to see if she can destroy the line, but to see if it even exists. Without boundaries, you are not a man. You are a boy, waiting for permission. Composure. Do not rise and fall with her moods. She screams. You stay calm. She sulks. You stay steady. She withdraws. You stay focused. Because the moment you mirror her chaos, you've admitted you cannot handle it. Indifference to validation. Here's the hardest truth. If you need her approval, you've already lost. The sovereign man doesn't collapse when she withholds affection. He doesn't beg when she's cold. He doesn't chase when she pulls away. He is his own validation. His worth isn't in her hands, and that's exactly why she respects him. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Her tests are outside events. Your reaction is your kingdom. Lose that, and you've lost everything. So when the fire comes, when she pushes, pokes, withdraws, resists, do not panic. Do not explain. Do not collapse. Stand. Breathe. Hold. Not because you're trying to win. Not because you're trying to trick her. But because you are the kind of man who doesn't fall apart under pressure. Remember this. She doesn't need you to be perfect. She needs to feel you are unbreakable. Most men never reach this. They stay boys forever, whining, explaining, begging for love. But a few pass through the fire, and on the other side, they become men no woman can break. There is a point where the tests lose their power, not because women stop giving them, not because life stops pressing, but because the man standing in front of them is no longer the same man he was. This is the rare man who cannot be tested. Understand this. He still faces storms. She still throws her little fires. The world still challenges him. But he doesn't even register them as tests anymore. Why? Because he no longer lives for approval. He no longer measures himself against her reaction. He no longer bends to the pressure of moods, doubts, or chaos. He has built a core so steady that what shakes other men doesn't even touch him. This is the new masculine standard. Not the man who tries to appear strong, not the man who acts confident when eyes are on him, but the man whose strength has become second nature. The man whose calmness is woven into his blood. The man who commands respect without asking for it, because respect flows naturally toward the immovable. Picture the samurai. They trained not only for combat, but for composure, to remain unshaken even at the edge of death. Their power wasn't in their sword, it was in their spirit, unbreakable, disciplined, serene. Picture the gladiator who enters the arena not with panic, not with desperation, but with a silent dignity. Win or lose, his courage cannot be tested. The crowd sees it. His enemies feel it. That's the man you must become. Not flawless, not invincible, but unshakable. Most men will never reach this point. They will always crave her reassurance, always scramble to prove themselves, always collapse when the heat rises. But a few will rise above it. A few will choose to build themselves into steel, not tin. A few will embody such strength that women don't test to destroy them. They test and realize, this one cannot be moved. That is when the game changes. When respect becomes permanent. When attraction no longer flickers like a candle in the wind, but burns steady like a torch. And here's the final truth. A man who cannot be tested is the only man worth following. Like, share, subscribe.